I was sitting at a long table. The head table. I was sitting between my fiancé and my future father-in-law. I looked between the empty chairs and our wedding party and close family. The wedding planner was walking between the chairs, frantically explaining that the wedding was less than 48 hours away, and what time everything's happening, and having strong words with the best man as to why his speech was longer than his allocated 4 minutes. It had been nearly a month since I had seen him last. I'm not saying his face had left my mind, but he said he was very busy with work and didn't have a lot of time to catch up. I had a huge amount on myself. I'd pulled myself together as much as I could. My little hiccup in the last month or so, I just assumed it was pre-wedding nerves. It was normal. I had not strayed, I had not done anything wrong, nothing had happened. I planned on focusing on enjoying the rehearsal dinner. I zoned back into my surroundings to hear my fiancé make a joke about how his best man has never been much good at lasting longer than 4 minutes before. My fiancé had asked a waiter to fetch us a top-up of our wine. We were giggling away at a story one of my bridesmaids was telling when I saw the bottle of wine being poured into my glass out of the corner of my eye. A familiar voice sent shivers down my spine, and the hairs on my neck would stand up. I felt the blood rush to my cheeks. It was as if someone had just pushed me over a cliff and I had left my stomach behind. My head shot round. I opened my mouth, but nothing but breath would come out. He made his way round to my fiancé and filled up his glass. I saw him leaning over his shoulder, and he didn't break eye contact with me once. He winked at me. My vision blurred and slowly started to blacken. It was as if someone had wedged a knife into my stomach as I jumped up from my chair and ran to the bathroom, hoping to make it there in time before I threw up. He'd told me he was a barman, but I'd assumed he meant in a pub somewhere. I suppose it was my own stupid fault for not asking. I stood in front of the toilet mirrors and made sure I looked mildly presentable. This whole situation was laughable in a painful and I wish the ground would swallow me whole kind of way. I walked as slowly as I could back into the dining hall. My fiancé caught my eye immediately and mouthed to me, asking if I was okay. I nodded, and he got back to bellowing at some crude story his groomsman was telling. I searched for him as subtly as I could. My friends' and family's laughter filled the hall, people beckoning me over. The best and the worst thing about a wedding was it was all focused around us as a couple. The tense feeling that had dominated my body left as I continued my unfruitful search. Maybe I had imagined it. Maybe it's the stress. That's what people say when they don't want to admit what the real problem is, isn't it? And then a hand suddenly gripped mine and pulled me behind the dividing wall. Before my eyes had a chance to adjust to the low light, I felt lips on mine, hard and passionate. Hands around my waist and in my hair, fingers tracing and lips searching. It was hot and disorientating. I felt myself lose control of my body as I sunk into every moment of this act of spontaneity, and it stopped. Suddenly. He pulled away, and all at once I could feel that all too familiar sense of guilt and shame. It was him, and I blushed and I cursed as he kissed my hand and walked away. The noise of someone banging on the bathroom cubicle jolted me back into my confused and painful reality. The reality which was me, sitting on the floor of a toilet cubicle covered in sweat, crying and nauseated. My mum was calling my name, banging on the door, asking if I was okay. I opened the door and she looked at me. She said nothing. She came into the cubicle with me, locked the door behind her, sat on the floor next to me, pulled me into her, and I broke.